We are live in Athens, GA. I guess Alfred on your end. All right. Speaking of Athens, let's talk about G Day. What's your initial thoughts? What did you think? Who played well? Who popped to you?
Initial impressions are Georgia has the potential to be really, really good on offense. The weapons that we have on offense, even after Andrew Paul decided to enter the transfer portal, they are deep. They're talented. I thought Dominic Lovett had a really good game.
Yeah.
I thought offensively, that the other person that popped out at me is just the size, and he looked like a football player. Was that Jaden Riddell kid,
Yeah.
the tight end?
Yeah.
He looks like a football player. But all the receivers, I thought Sokovie White, good kid from Cass, Georgia. I thought he looked really good. I mean, he got 2 touches, but one was a tutty. So, and
Right.
he tightrope down the sideline. And Kirby even said after, he said, with our wide receivers, they bully you. And it's just like they can rotate in and out and be fresh during the season. And I think if Bobo does what Kirby has alluded to, is let the cat play, and Bobo doesn't get a tight sphincter, I think this offense can be really, really good defensively.
Yeah. Well, but before we get to the defense, actually, I think that's a good stopping point. Let's talk about the offense real quick. So I think that this wide receiving group is probably the most talented. I mean, is the most talented group Kirby's had since he started. Would you agree with that? Okay.
Yes.
So
as a group, yes.
Yeah, as a whole unit. Obviously, there's been NFL guys, but there hasn't been a group where they're all playmakers. I think the only weakness of this offense right now is tight end. From what I saw, but
from last year or compared to other teams or what?
Well, compared to just Georgia's, what I think of tight end, right?
You lose Brock Bowers.
Yeah, you lost Brock Bowers, exactly. Right. So, is it? I mean, Delp is a good wide out.
Tight end.
Yeah, but I'm saying as a pass catcher, he's a good pass catcher. I'm worried though about the blocking on that end, the tight end position. That to me was a concern of mine when I watched it. That is really nitpicking. But I saw it a couple times, and if you watch it, I know we saw it whenever we were there. Kirby pointed to the tight ends. It was Delp and Lawson Lucky about getting their ass beat and run blocking.
I think Delp would be fine. I think Lawson Lucky, I think he's a talented guy, and I think he'll be a good tight end. But last year, of course, he was a freshman. He had trouble, right? That wasn't his strong suit. I think he'll probably get better at it. But I agree with you.
Yeah. And then another thing, I saw some people on social media and blogs and stuff worry about Carson Beck's performance. I don't know how you can come away from a G Day and think that the sky's falling on Beck. He missed some deep throws a few times, but the last play of the game, he nailed one. So I'm not that worried. The people being worried about that is silly. And then I'll make this. This will be my last point on the offensive side of the ball. Outside of the wide receivers, I have one more point, but whatever. Running back, Georgia hasn't had a home run hitter probably since James Cook left. And
I agree. I failed to mention Etienne looked good, didn't he?
Etienne, he couldn't maintain his lane. driving in Athens, but he can maintain his lane whenever he's running the football. He's a good running back. It's weird that he went to Florida. And, hey, the knock on him about his pass protection,
He stuck his nose in there. Yeah.
he stuck his nose in there, and he wasn't afraid because, like I said, you're not going to play in the Georgia offense if you're afraid of blocking. This is not, unless you're the quarterback.
That goes for everybody, including wide receivers.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the running backs, and I think whenever we did a National Signing Day recap, I said at least I would expect one running back to leave. I didn't think it was going to be Andrew Paul out of all of them, but he looked he looked good.
He did look good.
And I hate to lose him, but Georgia has 6 guys on a scholarship. So
yeah.
I don't, but he's only a sophomore, and that's the problem with this transfer portal. And Georgia lost a wide receiver, Braxton Hicks, which again, like no one's losing sleep over. But none of these guys can transfer inside the SEC.
Is that the rule?
Yeah, if you transfer in the spring, you can't transfer to another SEC school.
Huh.
So I came away impressed with the Georgia offense. I think I saw Dean Legge. Well, Uncle Lou got pissed off about him comparing to the wide receiver room to the 2020 Alabama team. I don't necessarily agree with that take, but he did call them X-Wing fighters, and if you know anything about Star Wars, it kind of is what they are. I think this offense is going to be fine. I think this can kill you multiple ways. If someone's having a down day, they can kill you in multiple ways. I think we're in for a special year with this offense.
I agree. And Bobo's got to manage it the right way. And Carson Beck, talking about the performance of Carson Beck, I totally agree. Anybody that gets all bent out of shape and overly concerned about that is silly. He was taking chances, number one, and trying to throw into tight windows where he probably wouldn't in a regular game. B, you know how many times in spring that defense, they were extremely vanilla, right?
Right.
And so they were anticipating and knew exactly what Georgia's offense was going to do. So the 20 points that were scored on offense, I wouldn't get overly concerned about. One area, as long as he stays healthy, I am not worried about quarterback position.
Well, yeah, me neither.
And I'm not worried about offensive line.
No, that's another thing that we didn't even talk about. The offensive line, it's deep and it's really good. This honestly might be the best offensive line group Georgia's had.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that one a little bit more. I feel comfortable saying as a group, definitively, of course, we got to play the season and all that, but the number of weapons and how deep it is at wide receiver is probably the best group. Offensive line, I'd have to think about that for a little bit, but it's a good offensive line and it is deep. And I would say, and this is a transition into the defense, I thought the defense, both for the red and black team, equipped themselves really well. They were very scrappy. We didn't try to run it too much, which makes sense in a spring game.
Right.
But when we did try to run it, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot there. I think there was 110 yards or something like that by the red team offense on running the ball. But anyway, it was it bodes well. Georgia's defense, talking about who popped on Georgia's defense.
There's a lot of guys.
KJ Allen was all over the field.
Yeah.
KJ Bolden, kid's going to be a player. I don't know if he's going to start or not. I can't tell you, but the guy is going to be special player for Georgia. Those two guys on defense stood out to me. I think we're going to be faster sideline to sideline than we were last year. I'm not sure. Defensive line, I think we're going to have some guys. We got to remember, too, we're concerned about it, or I am. I think it's one of the weaker areas of Georgia. But we also we had a couple of guys not even playing on defensive line. Ingram Dawson wasn't there. There's a couple other guys that weren't playing. So I think we'll be fine on defense. Anybody that knows Kirby, I know we we are not going to have may not be able to shut people down to where they don't score touchdowns, right? Like we did a couple of years back.
Right.
But with this offense being as explosive as they are, I think it's going to be hard for teams to outscore us. That's what I would say.
I totally agree. And I think this defense is good enough. I think you're going to have the inverse of what happened in 2021. You're going to have an exceptional elite offense that can be like up there in the historic ranges. And then you have a defense that's damn good itself and it can do enough to get you wins. And, the highest Georgia's ever given up total points and under Kirby Smart is 20. So if they're averaging 20 points a game and our offense is averaging 40, I like our chances there.
Yeah,
that's a pretty easy math. I'll tell you another player that popped out on, not in person though, breaking down film. Ellis Robinson, the fourth, I think is tag.
Wish I'd have watched him a little bit more. But
dude, he's good, and well, I wouldn't say he's good. He is going to be really good. He's going to be really good. He flashed a lot. He's got long arms. Jalen Walker played pretty good, I thought. Michael Williams played really good.
Yeah.
I think moving Michael to defensive end to that jack linebacker spot is going to do wonders, not only in the run game, but especially in those screen situations where they, because that's now all they do. Most offenses do now is bubble screens. That's going to be huge with his speed and size. Wasn't it Gabe Harris who changed his number?
Ra changed his number. Oh, Gabe Harris, yes. He went from, what was it, 29 to 35, I believe, or
he played really well. He played really well, I thought. I'm trying to think. Who's the linebacker?
Raylan Wilson.
Raylan Wilson played pretty well. I couldn't think of his name. He changed his number too, which threw me off.
You definitely need a program.
Yeah,
we didn't have, by the way.
We did not. And then also, the white kid from Alabama.
Poe, number 22.
Yeah, he. I don't know. He probably won't play. Him and Dan Jackson will probably rotate. I guess because they're white defensive backs, and Kirby has a soft spot for them. But
they're also good, dirty.
Yeah, hey, I was just joking, but yeah, he was around the ball a lot and stuck his nose in there. So him and Dan Jackson, I thought did a really good job. The defense doesn't have. I think we talked about this last week. The defense is extremely talented. It's just really inexperienced.
Yeah.
So,
I think by the time we're through, and you can go ahead and put it down, I think that our guy, CJ Allen, may be one of the best linebackers that's ever come through Georgia. And I'm including Roquan. He's got a long way to go, and Nakobe. But CJ Allen is going to be a ball player. He
wears that number 3, dude, and it really does. I mean,
it does look. Yeah, that's right. He changed his number 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the way he moves and the way he moves around the field, it really does remind. And he wears almost the exact same helmet. It really is like seeing double.
But correct me if I'm wrong. He's bigger than Roquan and certainly bigger than Nakobe, and I think he's just as fast as. He may not be as fast as Nakobe, but he's pretty dang fast.
Nakobe was much faster, and Nakobe's faster than Roquan. I think I bet him and Roquan are about the same speed, which that big of a man coming down on you is pretty scary. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, he brings bad intentions when he hits you.
Yeah, I mean this show podcast whatever is a not a Raylan Wilson, but a CJ Allen fan club. I mean, we talked about him from the very start of this.
I think that is also, we've said it. I think that is Pop saw the handwriting on the wall. He was a good linebacker. Wish him well, but I think he saw handwriting on the wall.
Yeah, he was a good
time cut.
Yeah, he wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
He'd come in a second rotation. So getting Malachi Starks and Smile Munden and all these guys back, I think this defense is going to be just as good. I think it probably will be better than last year. And the whole talk this whole spring was how bad the defense was doing. I thought the defense did a pretty good job.
Well, Kirby said it was the best scrimmage they've had. So
I thought we could see it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's always going to be more critical of the defense.
Right. I think it equipped itself well. I mean, holding somebody. I mean, I know it's spring game, but holding to 20, right?
Yeah.
So it would encourage anybody that's not. I mean, most people probably watching this are probably going to be at least be able to catch a spring game. But when the weather is nice, there is no better time to go to Sanford Stadium and watch. And then, I've heard other commentators that shall remain nameless. Is the crowd, the beautiful day, team looked good, but the crowd was kind of It's like, well, dude, we're watching a scrimmage, and we're evaluating players. It's hard to get really hyped up and get all enthusiastic on a 4th and 2 in a scrimmage game, right? You're looking for different things in a scrimmage than you are in a game type of atmosphere.
Yeah,
So
I don't know what you would want from a fan base other than showing up. And Georgia, actually, if the
didn't we do an over under on the attendance?
If the viewers at home remember, we did say make our predictions. Okay, so far spring game attendance. Ohio State had 80,000, which I think that number might be a little inflated, but hey, whatever. Alabama had 72K, which I don't believe because I literally watched Alabama's spring game for a little bit, and it looked like no one was in the stands. But again, Penn State had 67, and Georgia had 55K, and I said it was going to be over 50. So
I know what I say, 40 to 45.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we couldn't fill up the other part of the stadium, right? So
because of construction.
Yeah. So the side that we could fill up was pretty dang full.
It was filled up all the way up to the nosebleeds.
Right.
So
I thought the fans were fine. I don't want to give fans too hard of a time during the spring game for not being louder and all that. I mean, we're trying to evaluate what we got here, right?
Yeah, and it's more of a family atmosphere, enjoying, just being at Sanford Stadium. It's one of the few times you can go that's not football season. So, and I don't know, what the fuck do you want? Do you want screaming and hollering over a spring game? I don't really understand what you
start throwing Gatorade bottles on the field because we allowed it to end in a tie.
Yeah, I don't really know what you want from.
Here's my thing: nobody got hurt, but any serious injuries, and we got to see some of the younger guys and get and be able to evaluate kind of what we think we're going to have. So from my fan experience, it was perfect. One thing I will say, the baby hedges, those damn things must grow fast. Yeah. Because if they say they're going to be at the same size they were as our hedges were, previous years by the time football season starts, this summer they better really like hot, dry weather because they were what? Not even knee high.
Well, maybe knee high. But they were smaller whenever they planted them. Because
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, but I just didn't.
But no, where the section that gets the sun the most, especially on Georgia's sideline, this time of year. Obviously, in the fall it's different, but that side was. I mean, it was about to your back.
Was it? All right.
Yeah.
Well, down where we were sitting where the student section is in the end zone, that down on that side going towards the tunnel, I thought they looked pretty small. By the way, we didn't mention when we were talking about how deep the wide receivers, a guy that's going to be really tough for opposing teams to handle is the kid that we got from Miami.
Colby
Young, whatever he is, 6'4". He snagged the ball over the middle. He's good, so he has hands and he's got a huge catch radius. Red zone, he's going to be hard to he's going to be hard to handle. So
Yeah,
I like him a lot. He popped to me.
Yeah, there's so many wide receivers that, Dominic Love is going to be the go-to. Then you have Kobe Young, and then you have Delp, and then you have Ra. You have Dylan Bell, who is
Evans.
underrated, and he's probably the best wide receiver now. Is he going to make a great NFL wide receiver? Probably not. But if it was, 3rd and 3 in the goal line, and I needed someone to catch a ball, I'm going with Dylan Bell right now. Obviously, that might change, but think about how deep we are, and we didn't really get to see Landon Humphreys that much.
No.
We still haven't seen Georgia's transfer tight end from Stanford, that Ben Yurshek. I hope I'm saying his name right.
That's right.
So there's a lot of guys still that are not joined this team, and it's just going to be really good.
It's going to be really interesting to see if we can live up. Now, I think that was a unique year, and when LSU had Joe Burrow and all those wide. But this, I'm serious. This offense, if managed correctly and it stays healthy, it has a chance. Maybe not to be that good, but it has a chance of being really dang good.
Production-wise, it can absolutely be on that level. Production-wise, I'm not saying if like NFL and having 2 first-round wide receivers and a Heisman Trophy winner and #1 quarterback. So, but production level-wise, 1,000%.
I agree. It could be really exciting.
Yeah, and look, we don't even have Branson Robinson. Yeah, that's ETN and Branson Robinson, then Roderick Robinson. They're gonna wear, and Nate Frazier. They're just gonna wear on people.
And also I think we've got freshman running backs that are supposed to be game changers too coming in. So
yeah,
I'm not worried about running back. One of the things I know you and I talked about, ETN appears to me to be the type of running back that really made Georgia's offense go last year. Malkin was there. That running back that can catch out of the backfield, make somebody miss, and take it to the house. That was missing with last year, but I think he looked like he's that type of back.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we were talking about it at the spring game. Kenny McIntosh is probably one of the most underrated Georgia running backs to ever come through.
Very versatile.
His last year, 1,000 yards catching, 1,000 yards rushing. Not show me a running back that's ever done that. And hasn't been praised as one of the best.
Yeah.
So, and I think that is what Georgia's missing. So, with the addition of ETN, it wouldn't shock me at all that this offense can really go places that it wasn't able to last year. All right. Is there anything that you wanted to add outside of that? Hopefully everyone stays out of trouble. We still got now we're really getting the grind until fall camp opens up. From now to about June is a nothing burger out there.
No, I'll be curious to see what the offseason brings, and I think Kirby issued a little bit of challenge at the end, saying now the work really starts. I think he's still trying to figure out what he has, but I think he's excited about what he has because, to your point earlier, Georgia's extremely talented. We're just inexperienced at several positions, but I think these guys are going to be players, and I think this team is going to be really good. Now, will they go undefeated? I doubt it. Not with the schedule. I was looking at the schedule last week before the spring game, and that's a gauntlet, man. So I doubt we'll come through unscathed, but I think we'll be there at the end. I'm more convinced of that after watching G-Day than I was before it. This team's going to be solid.
Yeah, I think this. I think obviously, outside of the first year of Kirby Smart, Georgia would have been in the playoff every year with the 12 teams. So, the goal I think is not to get into the playoff. The goal is to win the national championship.
I think this team can do it.
Tell me, who do you think out there? And people have been blowing Ohio State. I'm not sold. We don't know anything about their quarterback, and I don't care who's calling the plays. If it's Chip Kelly or not, he hasn't done shit. So, in the past 10 years, he was really good in 2010 with Oregon. Wow, that's longer than 10 years. Wow. Okay. But how long ago was that?
I don't even
14
remember.
years. Dude, we're almost at
Telling
20
you,
years.
years are they blend together whenever you get to be my age.
But look, I mean, that's great. But Ohio State, I mean, they have talent. Obviously, they're Ohio State, but they don't have a quarterback figured out yet, and they have a hard schedule as well. So hard for Big Ten schools. So I should rephrase that. But Georgia, this I was going to ask you. We have to start kind of change our view on teams. Like an 11-1 team is basically now an undefeated team, or like 11-2 sometimes is going to be like an undefeated team. What do you think the over under, or what would you put the over under for Georgia total wins?
Maybe that number I think 11. I think it's reasonable to expect Georgia to maybe drop 2 games this year just because of the
You think I don't think I think Georgia loses 1 game, if any at all. If we're being
well, let's
Texas doesn't scare me. Alabama doesn't scare me. Hasn't scared me in a long time. Auburn does not scare me. I don't even know. Florida, obviously. I think that second game with Kentucky, or not second game, the third game with Kentucky, that could be a little hairy. I can see.
Are we up there? We are.
We're up there, and it's early in the season, which is different.
Is it a noon kick?
Probably. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, but that's we've been up there. It's a little weird of a place to play to me. But
it's weird, and it's I don't like the environment's not scary. It's kind of like letting an air out of a balloon. So and then you have Brock Vandagriff, and you have Pop.
Yeah.
So that would, if we're talking about trap games, that would be the trap that I'm scared about. But Alabama, Texas, and we have Auburn at home. Ole Miss maybe, but again, like they had
Texas, Ole Miss.
But again, Ole Miss had like a circus night for their G Day.
Yeah, I wouldn't put too much. The thing I look at is college football and pro football is so quarterback centric, right? As your quarterback goes, pretty much there. I mean, you got to have complementary players. You got to have complementary defense. I get all that, but if you look at returning quarterbacks that were good impact players, you look at Texas and Ole Miss, and those are 2 that stand. And I know people are going to say, "Well, what about Alabama?" I'll be honest. I like the quarterback Alabama has. I think he's extremely athletic and extremely talented, but I'm just not sold yet. I'll have to see it to believe it. Is he going to fit the type of offense that DeBoer guy wants to run?
No, it's not. Well, so here's the thing. I think Alabama's going to be 2-loss or worse team. I think, honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they lose 4 games this year.
Oh my gosh. People in Alabama, they're going to be.
Well, they'll. Here's the thing. They'll make excuses for the first year. Oh, well, we lost the GOAT. This is a transition. It's only his first year. They'll make excuses. That's one thing that Alabama's really good at is winning national titles under Nick Saban and making excuses. Those are 2 things that they're really good at. So they'll make excuses. But again, and then Texas, they lost half of their defense to the NFL. So and Texas didn't beat Washington, who I didn't think was a really good team to begin with. So, and guess who's Washington's coach in the playoffs? So I'm not that afraid. I guess but hit me up on game week on Friday and then ask me. Might be a different story. But all right, well, I think that's about it. Unless you got another comment.
No, I'm good.
All right. Check out my blog, Terminus Sports ATL. Finally got the WordPress up. check out this YouTube. Obviously, share it, like it, subscribe, do whatever, comment. We've had some people comment. The Braves content right now, I'm kind of disappointed in Georgia fans who are watching this. The Braves content is beating Georgia fans. That's kind of embarrassing because that's Tennessee and Auburn. And look, I'm just saying. It's kind of embarrassing. So, also check us out on Twitter. I'm on Twitter now. Terminus Sports ATL. I think it's Terminus Sports _ATL on Twitter or X. For unit shippers, for all your shipping needs in the Atlanta area, go to
Holland Martin.
Holland Martin. Congratulations, Holland. That's our first shout out in a while. All right. We'll see you on the other side.